The ancient island of Sicily sleeps peacefully under golden sunlight and turquoise waters before the darkness arrives. The azure sky is suddenly torn apart by massive black clouds swirling like monsters devouring the light. Savage winds begin to scream as ancient olive trees bend to the ground, shaking before invisible forces. The calm Mediterranean Sea transforms into a boiling cauldron, with massive white-capped waves rising 20 meters high. In bustling Palermo, narrow streets instantly turn into deadly rivers, sweeping away every obstacle in their path. The magnificent dome of the cathedral shakes violently as huge stone blocks detach and fall like bombs. Thousands of tourists and locals flee in panic as desperate screams are swallowed by the deafening storm. A desperate man clings to a street lamp as red floodwaters rise to his chest, threatening to drown. From space, a massive white spiral covers southern Italy with a dark eye looking down threateningly. This is no ordinary storm, this is Super Typhoon Harry, the worst meteorological nightmare recorded in Europe. Record high sea temperatures turn the Mediterranean into a powder keg, and Harry is the deadly fuse. Low pressure awakens Mount Etna, creating a destructive combination of fire and ice beyond wind and water. Hot lava meets rain, creating thick black mud flows, racing down mountain slopes at Formula One race speeds. Picturesque coastal houses in Sicily have foundations smashed by waves sliding into the dark, screaming ocean abyss. Vital bridges snap like dry twigs, completely isolating the island from mainland relief during these fatal hours. Civil defense sirens wail desperately across streets, sounding like the prelude to a collective funeral for all. No escape route remains, no safe shelter. Nature has passed judgment and humans await their cruel fate. On satellite maps, Sicily lights go out completely, leaving a vast black void in the stormy Mediterranean. Prepare to witness the worst-case scenario as a Category 5 super typhoon strikes Europe's ancient heart. Welcome to the final destruction and the ultimate end of the beautiful island of Sicily today. September in Sicily begins with unusual oppressive heat as air feels compressed inside a giant suffocating glass cage. Outdoor thermometers hit 42 degrees Celsius, an unprecedented autumn record, turning the island into a hot kiln. Beneath the surface, disaster is bred as water temperatures reach 32 degrees, fueling endless storm energy. At Messina Fishing Port, veteran fishermen notice anomalies as seawater strangely recedes hundreds of meters offshore. Dead white coral reefs and ancient shipwrecks lie exposed under harsh sunlight, signaling a terrifying pressure change. Seagulls stop hunting and crash into cliffs or fly erratically inland as if their navigation systems failed. An old fisherman stares at the sea with anxious eyes, smelling destruction in every humid gust of wind. However, at Palermo's sidewalk cafes, life continues calmly as tourists laugh and enjoy rich cups of espresso. Their phones flash yellow warnings from meteorological centers, but most swipe away believing it is just thunderstorms. This deadly complacency is nature's accomplice, costing humans the golden chance to evacuate before hell's gates open. 200 miles offshore, massive cumulonimbus clouds gather, spiraling to build a dense cloud wall 15 kilometers high. Satellite imagery reveals a perfect vortex structure forming, drawing thermal energy from the ocean to feed Harry. The storm eye appears clear, round, and dark, peering down at the raging, screaming sea beneath it. In Sicily, the sky changes from clear blue to strange bruised purple, like a spreading necrotic wound. First winds arrive carrying salty mist, whipping the faces of beachwalkers, forcing them to squint hard. Colorful beach umbrellas are uprooted, flying through the air like harmless toys against the increasing wind power. Restaurant owners rush to clear tables, their expressions shifting from calm to worried, hearing waves hit rocks. The first white-capped waves climb over breakwaters, licking asphalt roads, carrying white foam and deep ocean debris. Public loudspeaker systems suddenly scream, broadcasting emergency orders for everyone to seek shelter immediately without any delay. Roads begin to gridlock as car horns mix with whistling wind, creating a chaotic symphony of panic. An Italian flag on the town hall is torn violently, fluttering wildly, trying to withstand the coming rage. Streetlights turn on early as darkness covers quickly, but weak yellow light cannot dispel the growing fear. Heavy wooden shutters of old houses bang against walls, making loud noises like sledgehammers hitting concrete blocks. A stray dog cowers in a corner, shivering and barking at nothing as instinct warns of the worst. Rain begins falling, not showers, but heavy cold drops, whipping skin like small bullets from a machine gun. At the weather station, scientists stare at screens in shock as wind speeds exceed level 12 force. It arrived earlier than expected. A meteorologist mutters, hands trembling, holding the phone to report to Rome. Offshore, Harry's cloud wall hits the southern coast, swallowing the ancient lighthouse into its belly in an instant. The last daylight vanishes, leaving Sicily isolated in darkness as roaring storm winds dominate the entire space. The nightmare knocks, and no one can pretend to sleep as the island's survival time counts in seconds. At 2 a.m., Harry's eye strikes Palermo directly with wind gusts exceeding level 17 on the scale. The wind howl is no longer natural but sounds like the screaming of 10,000 lost souls. The magnificent Teatro Massimo cultural icon shakes violently, trembling like a fragile toy made of thin paper. Bronze lion statues are lifted by wind and thrown hard, smashing into opposite buildings, crumbling to pieces. Sudden drop in air pressure causes rows of theater glass windows to explode simultaneously in one instant. Broken glass shards shoot out like meteor rain, slicing through the pitch-black rain covering the city. Down on the ground, the seawall system is completely crushed by waves, 15 meters high, crashing. Salty seawater floods inland, drowning the famous lemon and orange groves deep in briny ocean water. Fruit-laden orange trees are uprooted, floating aimlessly in the murky floodwater, full of debris trash. But the real nightmare comes from the direction of Mount Etna waking up inside the violent storm. Extreme low pressure triggers the volcanic crater, shooting a massive column of ash straight into the sky. Red-hot lava meets storm rain, creating loud explosions and massive clouds of steam rising very high. Volcanic ash mixes with rainwater, forming deadly mud flows rushing down the steep mountain slopes at high speed. The thick black mud waterfall swallows villages at the mountain foot faster than any warning could sound. Ancient stone houses are swept away by mud, buried forever inside a natural concrete tomb of darkness. The camera shifts to Messina Strait, where the Great Suspension Bridge struggles against the violent wind gusts. Steel cables thick as human thighs begin snapping, whipping into the air like electric lashes of lightning. Electric sparks fly brightly as the bridge power system shorts out in the thick pouring rain curtain. A deafening explosion sounds as the main span breaks in two, falling free into the screaming sea. The only connection between Sicily and the mainland is severed, leaving the island completely alone and isolated. In Catania, city floodwaters have risen to the second floor of old apartment buildings by the river. Floating cars crash into each other, creating chilling sounds of grinding metal in the dark, stormy night. The island power grid fails completely, bringing pitch-black darkness illuminated only by lightning, revealing total destruction. The general hospital roof is torn off, forcing doctors to use flashlights to maintain patient life support. Rainwater pours down hospital corridors, turning the place of saving lives into a chaotic, messy battle zone. In shelters, water begins leaking, and rising levels make the air become suffocating and hard to breathe. People crowd together with blank faces as children's screaming cries are drowned out by thunder explosions outside. Coastal roads collapse, pulling a series of solid structures sliding down into the deep, dark abyss below. A 16th century ancient bell tower tilts slowly, then collapses, burying history under a pile of rubble. Tornado winds lift cargo containers at the port, throwing them into residential areas like giant heavy bombs. Giant billboards fly through the air, slicing through glass skyscrapers like sharp blades in the windstorm. High-voltage grids crackle as broken wires fall into water, creating deadly electric traps for everyone nearby. No one dares step outside, as all life seems to huddle, trembling before the wrath of heaven. From above, Sicily looks like a shipwreck, sinking slowly into the dark and angry ocean depths below. Harry's destruction power has exceeded all forecast models, rewriting the definition of natural disasters for the world. Luxury coastal resorts are now just piles of wood scraps floating on the black, dark water surface. Hydroelectric dams begin emergency discharge, contributing to the deadly water flow sweeping through the downstream areas rapidly. Nature is reclaiming its territory in the most brutal way, erasing all traces of human civilization completely. In the storm, humans realize their smallness and helplessness before the absolute power of the vast universe. Tonight will be the longest night in Sicilian history, a night when dawn seems it will never come. Dawn breaks without sunlight, bringing only a gloomy gray color covering everything in a depressing atmosphere. The entire power grid of Sicily has collapsed, completely turning the vibrant island into a cold, dead land. In Catania subway stations, floodwaters have risen to the ceiling, filling every escape route with dark water. Thousands of citizens seeking shelter underground are now trapped inside giant, deadly water traps with no way out. Cries for help echo in concrete tunnels but are quickly drowned out by the roaring water sound completely. On the surface, vital coastal roads collapse into the sea, cutting off all relief routes from the outside. Major hospitals lose roofs, and backup generators fail due to flooding, extinguishing fragile lives in an instant. Doctors must operate under trembling flashlight beams while rainwater leaks directly onto the sterile surgical tables below them. Panicked crowds trample each other, fighting for the few remaining small rescue boats left on the shore. In disaster, survival instincts rise strongly, making humans become wilder and more desperate than wild beasts in forests. Luxury cars float aimlessly, like garbage crashing into ancient city walls, crumbling and creating a symphony of destruction. No superheroes appear, only desperate survival efforts amidst the stinking mud and wreckage of this destroyed city. Survivors crawl out from the rubble with their bodies completely covered in sticky black mud and blood. They stare at the sea with blank eyes. Where life once thrived is now the #1 enemy. Rescue sirens from the mainland sound faintly, but the geographical distance now feels as far as the infinite horizon. Famous vineyards are wiped out, setting the island's economy back by decades in a single storm event. Priceless historical monuments are crushed by nature, wiping out 1,000 years of culture in one dark night. Humans standing before the absolute power of nature become smaller and weaker than ever before in history. When the wind stops, a deadly silence covers everything, leaving only the sound of water trickling through broken rocks. Relief ship horns sound from the mainland, but given the losses, it feels like a drop in the ocean. An intact statue of the Virgin Mary stands alone amidst rubble, a symbol of fragile hope remaining there. Humans will begin to rebuild, but Harry's scar will remain deep in the Mediterranean memory forevermore. A tattered Italian flag flutters on a leaning pole, affirming human resilience against the overwhelming power of nature. Nature never negotiates, and we must learn to adapt, or we will be erased forever from this earth. This is a warning from the future. Prepare yourself before it is too late for all of us.